Thank you.
Here to do this talk. It is a privilege, and I really appreciate everyone's patience to be staying around. So let's see if this next piece of technology works as well. So just a little bit about AECOM. So we are a design and engineering company that is based originally in the States. We are a Fortune 500 company. We've got 100,000 people, employees internationally, and in New Zealand we've got around 1,000 staff. So a bit about myself. I'm originally from Hong Kong, and I came to New Zealand just before the changeover of 1996. And I fell in love with the country, with my family, because it's just a fantastic place to be for growing up. I no longer have to spend hours and hours to do homework, and I thought, yeah, if I keep doing more drawings and having more fun in arts, we'll be able to have a very nice life in New Zealand. But man, what I proved wrong in terms of what actually the future looks towards for me. So because I do enjoy drawing and art and also building Legos, I study architecture, and I graduated in the year 2007 at that point in the University of Auckland. At that point in time, it wasn't too hard to find jobs, and then I was working as an urban designer and studying my master's in the university as well. During that time, we had the 2009 hit in the financial system. A lot of the projects I work on, which is very exciting in China and also in the Middle East and also in New Zealand, all becomes white elephant projects, if you know what I mean. So I was a bit disheartened, and I thought it's about time for me to do the most Kiwi thing that I can do, have a bit of an OE. So I went over to Sydney. So in 2011, I went to Sydney and I practiced as a master planner and urban designer to do some of the bigger projects in there. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. We're doing stuff on a bigger scale. We're no longer doing the smaller stuff. We've spent 2 years over there, and then I started to, think about whether it's actually time to come back to New Zealand, because all my families are here, and I'm planning to have a family with my wife. So I joined AECOM when I was in Sydney, and I relocated back to lead the urban design team. So at that point in time, there was just me and the team, and what was happening in 2003. When I came back, I realized we were having a housing shortage. We were starting to begin to know that we actually don't have enough houses. According to the stats coming out at that point in time, and from BNZ, one of the major sponsors from NZAL, we'll basically have a shortage of around 20,000 homes. And every year in Auckland, we're building only around 7,000 to 8,000. Because what has happened in 2009, we're not really building as much. And every year we have a demand of around 12 to 13,000 because of immigration. So we have a shortfall between 5 to 3,000 every year. And that shortfall and its shortage is expanding. These are some stats that we have found from the MB website, the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment. So we're expecting the residential construction value in 2013 at that time to be 4.2 billion, and they were expecting it to grow by 126% to 9.6 billion. So it is a fundamental shift, because we all know how difficult it is to get houses built in this country. We know how hard it is to get consent, and we know how protective that we are with our construction sector in terms of bringing new technologies. But however, there's no way that we can grow in that sort of momentum within that short of time frame if we don't look at a bit of doing something quite different to what we have been doing. And also at that time, when I came back, there was also a lot of things in the background has been changing. As you might have heard about the unitary plan, the city rail link, the waterfront redevelopment, and the special housing area. However, there's also a lot of positive things when I felt when I came back, as although I've only been away for 2 years. In 2013, when I came back, I saw there was so much more city life. There was a lot more ways that you can spend money. And more posh restaurant, constantly central, all the Wynyard Quarter stuff. It's amazing. So, but however, this is what we traditionally think housing are like. The quarter-acre dream, the not in my backyard thing. Is that going to be really what's going to be showcasing us if we want to be the most livable city? In this picture, we're looking at probably around 15 to 18 dwellings per hectare. In order to achieve the numbers that we need to get into, and not to expand too far, because we all know the infrastructure costs a lot of money. Things that we cannot see, but pipes, the roads, power lines, we need to be building a higher density. So we need to be building twice of what the density that we have been doing. It doesn't mean that we have to be doing high-rise tower everywhere. It just means that we have to be a bit smarter in terms of providing buildings that people will enjoy living in. High density doesn't mean that it's going to be very detrimental to your lifestyle, because a lot of people with the business that with how busy lives are at the moment, some people actually don't like maintaining their yachts anymore. And also, I imagine when I grew older, I probably wouldn't be able to do that too. However, I'm still young, I think, in heart. Well, however, building in this sort of density, it's very important to focus on the quality. Since coming back, I've realized there is a lot of Chinese companies interested in developing in New Zealand. A lot of them is finding it very hard to land a project in here. A lot of them took around 5 to 6 visits before they can actually find the right project. The projects are getting bigger. Previously, $50 million overall value projects is pretty big for us, but now every single project seems to be going over $100 million. So these are some of the companies that we have been working with or in conversation with, and the background image is the Fuwa Hyatt Hotel in the waterfront. So how do we actually, it's just like all sort of tools. The Asian investment, it's a very good tool that we can engage on, but how do we make sure that we're channeling it to the right places? What we do not want is just pure price escalation. If people with Chinese investment are coming in and buying land and actually purchasing it way over the market value, then everyone actually suffers, because basically everyone around the area will have a high expectation for what their land is worth. The land that was purchased will not be able to get any funding or financing because the numbers doesn't stack up. So basically it will just landlocked into a bit of a land banking for a long while. So for AECOM and for my role, I work very closely with the Asian sector, and I see my role as in a very important role to try to build a bridge in between what the expectation of the Chinese developers has and what our system is like. Development in here is not quite the same as everywhere else internationally, although people say that Australia and New Zealand is similar, but because of the Resource Management Act, it's not quite the same. The certainty in building things in this country is not as high. The biggest important thing for developers is certainty, so it doesn't make it very hard for us to imagine, why don't we have more houses? It takes easily between 6 to 12 months to get a consent, and especially for more tricky projects, it takes even more. But in China, people pretty much expect that if you purchase a site, you know exactly what you can do. Within a month, you can get a design. Within 6 months, you can get people on site. And within a year, you can start selling the first building. And in this country, even if you do get all the consent, you have to look at the construction seasons, because we don't build when it's raining too much. And we have to also be very concerned regarding what sort of contractors that we have, because the density problem that we have been facing with has changing a lot of traditional contractors from building small homes into apartments. There's only so much capacity in the system. It takes time to build it. And people are charging, because of that, there is a lot of escalation in terms of construction price, which makes development even harder. In the end of the day, we all want to develop more homes for people, not houses for rents, not units. So in order to get there, we'll use the African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you need to go together. We need to be able to employ, to attract the right people internationally in here to help us to solve this problem. It's a very tricky issue, and in my point of view, what I have done is that I'm trying to build an ecosystem within the development sector, because development is a very big food chain or cycle, all the way from your land acquisition, your strategy side, the feasibility study, down to your construction, post-sales management. It's a very big chain of work, and because of these new developers coming in, they don't really understand the matrix and the network of it. So we try our very best in order to host some seminar with KPMG and ASB, as well as BNZ and other lawyers with Chinese people, to be able to explain it and set the right expectations for them. So it's also about finding allies and develop a strong team. So Most of my projects nowadays comes by referral. Quickly go over these slides. So this is also about the points that has been talked about by the previous speakers. You really have to embrace differences in the different personality in order to build a very strong team. And the difficulties that we are facing with at the moment is very hard to find contractors. The cost of materials are very high. The compliance for getting new materials and new techniques, building techniques in here is almost impossible. It takes around 2 years. It takes around 200K. And with the scale that we have in here, it's very easy to see that why companies aren't interested in pushing their materials through. For example, I've got a Chinese developer that's interested in putting their technologies through to New Zealand, and they've been talking to me, they want to build houses in Auckland. We've got a prefab system where we can put houses in. All we need is that you can guarantee us to be able to build 3,000 to 5,000 homes a year.